The Biden administration and congressional leaders aren't seeing eye to eye on ESG investing. Both the House and the Senate struck down a Biden rule change that reversed a Trump rule on retirement plan offerings. Barron senior writer Lauren Foster has the story. Lauren, thanks for coming on the show. Before we take on the bigger issue here, let's just explain what President Biden and Congress are arguing over. Basically, it's whether mutual funds with a certain investment strategy should be allowed in 401k plans.
The Biden rule allows retirement plans to include funds that consider ESG in their investment decisions. The rule also allows ESG funds to be a default option, meaning employees would have to opt out and choose another fund. But for practical purposes, not many 401k plans actually include these funds. Vanguard tells us it's just about 15% of plans.
Alrighty, so let's step back for a second for those who might not know. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance issues that investors, portfolio managers think about when compiling a portfolio. So why is that an issue here?
Well, it's a big issue because a lot of people don't know what ESG even stands for. And so a lot of people are asking, what is ESG? It means different things to different people. I think it's easiest to think of ESG as simply risk management. And ESG is just data. And assessing risk has always been at the heart of investing. Climate change is one of the simplest examples. Investors want to know how risks from things like rising sea levels or worsening droughts could impact a company's operations. But I think it's important to stress that ESG is not the same thing as impact investing. There, the goal is to make money by investing in companies that are trying to have a positive impact on the planet or society.
Yeah, and I just want to say that a lot of the portfolio managers I talk to, they don't count themselves as ESG investors, but they're thinking about these things all the time. Environmental issues, social issues, and governance issues are things that can blow up just about any stock. And so you look at a situation like Norfolk Southern, that's an environmental issue, it's a governance issue, and we're seeing this in other stocks as well. Like 3M is another one that comes to mind. They have these forever chemicals that have really been a headwind for the company. Nobody knows whether they're going to actually have to be liable for cleaning this up or not. And that's an environmental issue that people are thinking about, regardless of whether they count themselves as ESG investors or not.
Yeah, so Lauren, I want to go back to a point that you made earlier about ESG being about risk mitigation. That makes a lot of sense to me, at least. So how is it that ESG has become such a politicized issue?
Over the last year, we've heard a lot about anti-ESG and woke capitalism. And last year, former Vice President Mike Pence wrote a scathing op-ed against ESG, and it's really snowballed from there. The roots of the issue is that anti-ESG leaders say these big financial firms are abusing their power to advance what they call a liberal agenda on issues such as diversity, social justice, and especially on climate change. Now, Texas and Florida are among the states that are targeting ESG. And in Florida, for example, Governor Ron DeSantis has barred state pensions from considering ESG factors in their investments.
Well, Lauren, whatever the agenda of ESG investing, what kind of money to be made is there? Is this a strategy that does as well as the market, worse, better?
Before we even go to performance, I think we have to say that it's quite hard to actually define ESG investing or ESG investments because of concerns of companies greenwashing or misleading investors about their practices. But on performance, Morningstar says most sustainable funds underperformed in 2022. But that's not really that surprising if you consider that many ESG funds underweight oil and gas companies. And last year, the energy sector was up a staggering 66%. I would also note that Barron's just published its ranking of the top 100 sustainable companies in the US. And in 2022, the list matched the performance of the S&P 500 index. And in the 4 prior years, the list actually outperformed the index.
So, Lauren, just curious, how are some of these ESG funds addressing the backlash, or I guess addressing the backlash to the backlash to the backlash, however you want to put that?
We're seeing that some anti-ESG state legislation is fizzling out. Just last month, lawmakers in Wyoming, which, as you know, is a coal-rich state, voted down 2 bills that would cut ties with investment firms deemed to have boycotted energy companies. And I'll also say that some pension funds are also pushing back, saying that legislation that would bar investment firms that provide ESG investments could raise costs for taxpayers.
Of course, we should realize ESG is a lot like most actively managed funds. Most underperform, some do really well. Anyway, up next, Jack is going to share his hot tip for beating the market and sleeping well at night. Stay right there.